Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Hope you guys are well, inshallah. We are going to be reacting to the entire debate between Piers Morgan and Abdullah Andalusi and the other dirtbag we don't need to mention.
I've repeatedly called out Israel's occupation of both Gaza and the West Bank. I have deep unease about the scale of Israel's...
By the way, he's not actually ever done that. He's condemned the settlements, but the occupation is actually a different thing, by the way.
Of course.
This is the first time that Piers Morgan has said anything about occupation, just to make that very clear. He said, I've repeatedly called out the occupation. No, settlements are different to occupation. They're two different terms. So occupation, according to the UK government, in fact, is when there's effective military control of a place. And that's why the UK and the US consider the Gaza Strip to be occupied, as well as East Jerusalem and the West Bank. He's condemned the settlements. He said nothing about the occupation. This is him actually taking one further step in condemning Hamas, in condemning the IDF or Israel, because he's never actually used the word occupation before.
Yeah,
it's actually very powerful. And actually, really and truly, he cannot take this back unless looking like an idiot, because what he's saying now is that Israel is occupying the Palestinian territories.
Yeah,
that is a serious, and that's something that Zionists don't actually admit.
But I found a lot of his answers deeply concerning. And I do believe many members of the public, not least his own patients, might also share my unease about the opinions he's...
He kept asking him, is this what you tell your patients? Yeah, is this what you discuss? I'm sorry, but your beliefs don't really impact your profession, in the sense that you got drunkards coming in, and as a Muslim, drinking alcohol is haram, drugs are impermissible. However, you don't impose your belief on the person. The person comes, you treat them. If a person comes, you know, who's a rapist, but he's injured and he's coming for his injuries, you treat him. You don't lecture him. So I don't understand the logic behind Piers Morgan. I mean, does his GP tell him about his line of morality each time he goes, inquiring about the rash above his, left buttocks?
I don't suggest for a moment that women who want to convert to Islam should do so for any other than perfectly good reasons. I have no problem with Islam as a religion or with Muslims. I have a problem.
So here's where I have a problem with this guy, is the fact that why is there a connotation or an insinuation of oppression with Muslim women coming to Islam? Why didn't he say, oh, do you want them to be more happy? Do you want them to be liberated? Why was the word oppression used? That's what I'm curious about. Where's that coming from? Because he's like, I know, remember he said, I know what Sharia law wants for a woman.
Exactly.
And then he forwards that message and he saves himself with the question of, oh, is that what you
want?
Exactly.
Which would be absurd, really, because why would he want that as a Muslim himself?
Why did he mention those three things when he said he knows about Sharia? Is that what he knows about Sharia? Because surely that's not a comprehensive...
Yeah, but even what he said is false, because he said, what interpretation of Sharia law suggests that there should be no feminist in a polity that's run by it anyway? Like, what does it mean that? So, for example, let's think about it for a second. If you have a polity and you have women inside of that polity, whether they be Muslim women or non-Muslim women, would they have to be forcibly exiled for having those beliefs? Where does it ever mention that in the books of fiqh and jurisprudence? So he doesn't know about Sharia law.
Exactly.
He says, I do know about it, but he
don't know nothing.
He's got a journalism degree. He doesn't know much about Sharia law, and he's made all these assumptions, asked all these unjust questions, frankly. And he's coming back and saying, actually, I'm not anti-Muslim, I'm not anti-Islam, perfectly good reasons and all those kind of things. He's backtracking.
To me, I need to ask him, what's the definition of oppression? Because I believe that if you can reduce women down to a sexual object, where the only thing that they have to offer is sex, because if you think about it, at the end of the day, if I want to go and relieve myself, I go to the toilet. That's what I do. I go to the toilet to relieve myself. We all do, yeah? And if you look at it, the Western system has sexualized women to such a level, it's as if, to their worldview, as if they are walking toilets where men can just relieve themselves inside of them, like one night stands, using them and chucking them, so much so that they have broken down the woman to such a level that women do not feel securing themselves. Like when we got over COVID, people was wearing masks. There was a study done that showed that women carried on wearing masks because they didn't want to be judged based on their appearance or where they were. In America, in New York, there's specific clothes that they wear so they're not harassed on the streets. So when we're talking about oppression, if majority, like when I talk about Western women, by the way, this includes Muslim women who are sadly inflicted by the Western system. So the point is, what do you define as oppression? There are women out there who are walking, who are getting butt implants, dying in the process. It's actually martyrdom in the process of beauty. So what does oppression mean? There are billions of women around the world who have been affected. So oppression, who defined what?
Yeah, that's good, because what's the theory of justice that you're using?
Yeah.
And that's a problem with Piers Morgan. I don't think he has a coherent theory of justice. That's why he's so ambivalent when it comes to these ethical questions, because he doesn't know. He's always saying it's a quandary for me and all these kind of things, and he's conflicted and ambivalent, and he's undecided, because he doesn't go to the biblical. Obviously, he says he's a self-proclaimed Catholic. In Catholicism, we know what for example, biblical verses say about homosexuality, and we know what the popes have said throughout the years on homosexuality as a sin, which is the normative
we know what Judaism says.
Position, and we know what Orthodox Judaism says. In fact, what Ben Shapiro himself has come out and said, that he believes biblically that homosexuality is a sin. So all of these things having been said, he doesn't have a theory of justice. That's why he resorts to looking at Winston Churchill as some kind of prophet, effectively.
Exactly.
Whatever this guy says, it must be the case. It must be the truth.
Exactly.
It's as if he has become the moral standard. These great white Western figures have become the moral standard. The Quran will ask him a question, which it does. What is am shara'u lahum min ad-dini ma lam ya'dhan bihi Allah? Am lahum shuraka'u شرعوا لهم من الدين ما لم يأذن به الله. Have they got associates with God who have legislated for them in the religion what Allah has not given them authority? In other words, where is your morality coming from? It's not coming from the divine.
Exactly.
It's a man-made morality, and why are you then imposing that upon other cultures and other people?
And also, I done a reaction video of how he treated Ben Shapiro when it came to this question of homosexuality.
Yes.
It was a whole different tone. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
A whole different tone, which I reacted to. But I think he's a closet Islamophobe. I think it's a big. I genuinely believe what he said yesterday to Abdul Wahid clearly showed that this is what he thinks about the Sharia, and that's the reason why, bro, he cannot call the IDF a terrorist state.
He's afraid to be labeled anti-Semitic.
He cannot, bro. You know why? Because his loyalties are clear where it's with. It's as simple as that. He dehumanizes. Look, if you despise something, if you see the Sharia as something and it's oppressing women, do you think you are in favor? No. Therefore, you are not going to be in favor. Look at the Palestinians. If the Palestinians were Christians, do you think you'll have this tone? You don't even use the word acts of terrorism of what's going on. 18,000 people massacred, bro.
Absolutely.
So I think that's it. I believe he's just an Islamophobe.
Should we continue the video?
I think the problem is that his response should have been clear. It should have been decisive. I apologize if my words have been taken out of context.
Absolutely.
I retract them.
Yes.
I condemn. He's asking everybody else for condemnation.
Yes.
He should condemn his own words, frankly, because they've come at a very inopportune time. We were expecting a clear, decisive retraction. Now, for him to then say, "Oh, there's a context," I'm sorry. What's the context of using a misogynist, Islamophobic trope? At a time where the current ruling party, the Conservative Party, have just got rid of Suella Braverman, who has been kowtowing to the far right. Far right is rising here in the UK. So to be championing, the tropes that have been put forward by them is dangerous, and it needs to be dealt with decisively. Not, there's a context. Also, if there's a context, you can link oppression with Muslim women. Is that what you're saying?
To go and take
okay,
out the
so may I continue my question then?
Yes.
So since, as I repeat, since you have justified their response, maybe not how they've carried it out exactly, but you justify their response as self-defense.
Their right to defend themselves by taking out the terrorists who committed that atrocity.
Why does he keep interrupting?
And presumably...
Just let him answer. Let him ask a question, for God's sake.
You know what he's doing? He interrupts his point and just repeats it using different words that mean exactly the same thing.
Do you know, when he sees someone clever is going somewhere where it could threaten him, he always just feels the need to interrupt. It's actually weak to be honest with you. Let the person continue finishing their question and then answer them. Simple as that.
Coward.
You refuse to call Israel, and you have refused when you've been asked to call Israel a terrorist organization, government, or the idea for terrorist organization.
Well, the difference is here. Well, hang on. In London,
no. Let me finish my question, please. I have a question for you.
I must clarify.
Let me finish my question.
You're making some statements that are a bit misleading.
Sure.
This country considers Hamas to be a prescribed terror group. They do not consider Israel to be a terrorist organisation, and nor do I. So that's the position.
But I'm not asking you.
The United States consider
I'm not asking the British government. I'm asking you, Piers.
I don't think
the British government isn't here.
I do not think they're a terrorist organisation.
Now let me finish my question. If I'm
He seems to be justifying his stance on Israel by using the United Kingdom's position.
Exactly, which is subjective because 65% of the world do not deem Hamas to be a terrorist organization. So if I say, okay, I'm going to go with the majority, democracy, 65% of the world, the world democracy, 65% of the world do not deem them a terrorist organization. One could use that argument and say, I refuse to deem them as a terrorist or condemn them for that matter. Would he have that right? Or would he be cancelled?
This is a good, interesting point because here, the legal definition of what means to be terrorist versus a moral distinction. Okay, this is what's being conflated, but let's continue seeing what that's happening.
I wonder if he knows the definition.
This is a very interesting point.
Ask the question as well. Then, as Londoners have died during the whole year of the Blitz under German bombing, which wasn't precision bombing, and yet you still say that Israel isn't a terrorist organization. I think the question we should be asking is, should you be suspended? Is it responsible to have speaking to the public when you clearly
this is very strong,
condemn that which needs to be condemned, which was
very
worse
strong.
than the London Blitz.
Perfectly,
those that condemn
perfectly reasonable
with precision weapons, and the Germans didn't even have precision.
Very strong.
Bro, if he is saying that Abdul Wahid should not be in his job because he believes in the Sharia. For the matter, Sharia.
No, he's not saying that. His claim is that because he's supporting a terrorist organization.
No, he did not support it. He just said.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if that's the case, we need to look at the equivalence.
Yeah.
If that's the case, you outright are supporting the death. 20,000 plus people have been massacred. You should not have your job. But why is it then when it's Abdul Wahid, he should not get rid of his job? Council culture, which he's against council culture, but he's the same person who tweeted the NHS, which people would do when it comes to the council culture. They tweet and be like, oh, NHS or whatever you work.
It's council culture is selective council culture with his opponents only.
Of course,
people don't like.
But it's the hypocrisy and double standards of freedom of speech and council culture. He's against it and he applies it.
Perfectly reasonable question.
Yes.
And you've asked me it on my show.
Yes.
The fact you're here and able to ask that, I think is evidence that I'm prepared to listen to people who will look me in the eye and ask me difficult questions.
Well, he didn't know I was going to say that. But
this is a bit cringe and it's a bit desperate because he feels like he's compensating for something. Compensating for the previous episode where he's not allowing his guests 6-7 seconds before interrupting them and not allowing them to make complete coherent points before refuting them. In fact, all he's doing is he's refuting straw men. He's refuting partial arguments, because if you don't allow the person to finish making their point, what in essence are you actually refuting? So it seems that the comments and people's accusations have got to him, and that's why he constantly feels the need to remind people it's uncensored, you're allowed to ask me. But it'll be interesting what sort of guest that he will bring alongside Abdullah Al-Andalusi, who's not an extremist, who's not an Islamist or whatnot, but Douglas Murray, who will be brought on later, is
extremist, Islamophobe.
Now let me ask you if you can give me one.
Yes.
Do you believe Hamas are a terror organisation?
Okay, and I'd like to ask you, what does that mean?
Just answer my question.
Well, I need clarification.
Well, this country has prescribed it as a terror group. Do you think they are?
Are you the British government?
No, I'm asking you what you think.
Okay, so I want a clarification.
I gave you a simple, straight answer.
What does it mean?
No, you tell me.
I don't know. You're asking me a question. You asked the question.
You don't think they are a terror group?
No, I want your definition. What is a terror group?
An act that commits acts of terror. A group that commits terrorism.
I don't know.
Define terror.
Do you want to answer the question or not?
I do, but I just want clarification.
No. We all know what terrorism is.
Please, no. We're going to go somewhere with this. We're going to go somewhere with this, right?
Well, are you going to answer the question?
Yes. Once I get your definition, what's a terror attack?
The definition is as is laid down in international law.
Which
it's
is
committing an act of terror.
Which is
terrorism.
Are you asking questions?
That is so clever. This guy is horrible. This guy's a horrible
I would
debater,
say
man.
massacring 1,200 people.
This
on
guy's
October
horrible.
7th in the way Hamas did is an act of terror. So
Yeah, but
agree?
you have
One second,
defined.
one second. 20,000 people, no condemnation. And then he brings it to 1,200.
No. There's a more salient point.
No, even before that, what's terrorism? An act of terror.
Yeah.
What's terror? Terrorism.
Yeah.
What's terrorism? Terror.
Yeah.
What's that? Okay, you tell me.
Yes.
No, if you wanted to show what circularity looks like, that is what circularity looks like. So why couldn't he just say, I don't know?
Yes.
But, despite the fact that I was on his show and I gave him a very coherent international law
Exactly.
definition,
Yes,
which was
it
from
was.
the UN
Yes.
definitions. But
It's
isn't it shocking?
Yes.
Isn't it shocking that this man, this is one of his main bread and butter questions that he asks his biggest.
He doesn't know.
And he doesn't even know what the key terms are. Like, this shows you severe lack of preparation, unbelievable unprofessionalism,
Exactly. Look, it's very
and
serious.
actually, frankly, ignorance.
Bro, the definition of terrorism is to carry acts of violence against innocent people for political gains. Yeah, and that is that is exactly
textbook.
what Israel is doing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And the matter at hand is very clear. And even like we said before, if Hamas was to do that, we condemn that. If Hamas did do that, we condemn that. We are morally consistent. But you can see, he thinks. Look, this is a racist concept that Israel has. He believes the 1,200 people's lives are more valuable than the 20,000.
It must be.
Because for him to ignore and not condemn, bro, what else can it mean?
Why?
1,200 people,
Why is it
condemn,
okay? What's good for the Jews
20,000
is not good
people,
for the
I have a
Gander.
reason not to condemn. You got finished.
Yeah.
He keeps asking for condemnation. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ask him, he asked somebody, okay, what's the definition of condemnation or to condemn someone? What's to condemn? or
That is a
condemnation?
year 9 answer, bro. That's a
You
year
know what?
9
Even
answer.
in primary school, they tell us the definition of something
Has to be. You can use the word itself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got finished. You got finished.
Firstly, your guest last night is a member of an extremist organization, Hizb ut-Tahrir, which is banned in many countries, including in European countries. And it's also...
And you're sitting in a terrorist state as well, being funded by terrorists also as well.
Many years ago, he couldn't condemn the killing of the journalists at Charlie Hebdo. Last year, he wouldn't condemn the attempted murder of Salman Rushdie. Now he can't do this. He fails every single test. But
This guy is just getting everything wrong.
Yeah, he's lying.
He's getting everything wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
you didn't condemn this? I did condemn it. Oh, they're banned in Germany. No, they're not banned in Germany. What is he doing here? Like, honestly, like, can you just get
No,
back
what I find disturbing is that Piers Morgan uses this individual
Yes, of course.
as almost like a consultant.
Yeah.
Like, frankly,
Yeah. Coach.
no, but it's not. no, but look, he's going to depend on his definitions, on his pieces of information. This is a guy who's on the record, Douglas Murray. He's on the record saying he wants to make life harder for Muslims across the board.
Yes.
That's a quotation of his.
Is that Islamophone?
Bro, imagine having if I said or you said,
Yes.
I want to make life harder for Jews across the board.
Yes.
And then Piers Morgan comes and says, I'm not anti-Jewish, but I'm going to have this guy as a pseudo consultant.
Yes.
on the day that he's pretty much generalized the entire Muslim population, he brings on somebody that said what?
That he wants to make
The life of Muslims harder
life of
around-
Muslims harder across the
Wow.
board.
If that doesn't tell us where Piers Morgan stands, I don't know what will.
It's
It's
unbelievable,
he's
really.
an Islamophobe.
So
Piers
sh-
Morgan as well as him.
It's shocking.
let me get on to the question.
Slander
Look,
and lies.
I'm not going
Prove
to
it.
engage. I'm
Prove-
not going to
prove your lies.
engage
Let him
in a
speak.
bun fight with this Islamist. Let me answer the question that Piers put to me before you try to interrupt again.
Only if you don't lie.
Let him
Right.
answer, please.
I appreciate
First
that
of
doesn't mean
all,
you-
Let him
first-
answer, please.
But all right.
First of all,
Why is Piers getting angry? I don't understand. Let him answer, please. But when Abdullah al-Andalusi was making a question, he said, "No, I'm going to interrupt because you're mischaracterizing me." He's lying.
Because Allah says in the Quran, do not take them as intimate friends. They are allied to one another. Look, it's in front of you. The ayah is in front of you, brother.
It's clear hypocrisy. Abdullah al-Andalusi he's being slandered as an Islamist, as somebody who hasn't condemned,
Charlie Hebdo.
So he's not allowed to defend himself.
I'm not going to keep being talked over by this Islamist blowhard. Let me speak. First of all,
Why is
your
he
first
speaking
guest
like
treated us to the first bit of mouthwash.
I'm laughing at the way he speaks, bro. He's like an AI robot.
Look how he's speaking, bro.
Calls for jihad
Bro, he has
on the
emotion.
streets of London.
Looks like Percy's pig.
And they are not calling
Bro,
for an
he's gone red like
interpersonal
Percy's pig.
struggle with the nature of the divine.
The nature of divine. Who is going and stealing whose land based on divine commandments and carrying genocide? Who's doing that? Israel. They are coming. Imagine me going to a land and saying, the Quran says this is my land. You need to get kicked out. You fight me, I'm going to kill you. Do you ask Benjamin Netanyahu about this divine law that's been given to him in the scripture that he uses that? If that was a Muslim, you would say, you guys are committing atrocities, acts of terror based on the Quran. Nothing.
Why are you speaking like an Islamist blowhard?
What's wrong with him?
He's like a robot, bro.
The way he's speaking,
he has no emotion. Look at him. He has no emotion.
He's off key, bro. Look at him.
He seems like the stereotypical British guy from The Simpsons.
Striking, I just don't know if either of your guests are going to allow me a word in.
Because you are lying.
One of the
and
striking
even the numbers
things
from
about
Israel, from the IDF, which are not accredited.
No, you.
They are following the sunnah of Piers Morgan, who doesn't allow people to finish their points.
Yes,
and when he interrupts, he gives the excuse that, you can't mischaracterize or you can't say an incorrect piece of information. That's what they're doing. They're being consistent with the uncensored show.
But you are not able to mislead the viewers of Piers' show by quoting Hamas figures at his viewers as if they are holy
I am not
writ.
quoting.
Yes, we need to give the viewers of Piers' show not numbers from Hamas, but numbers from Israel, because Israel has a consistent record of telling us the truth, isn't it?
You know what's funny? He's basically, you can see the dehumanization of Muslims. He is now arguably telling us the following, that basically saying those numbers of 18,000, 20,000 are exaggerated numbers given by Hamas.
He's gaslighting us,
bro,
telling us that the babies that we've seen don't actually exist.
Bro, just imagine there are mass graves being dug. There was a place in the south of Gaza where it was a market. They've now made it a mass grave. This guy is basically saying the numbers that you have, we're seeing 5 numbers is a big number, 100 number, 1,000. He's basically saying that the number 20,000, it's a lie. So what is a correct number? And even if there is a number, the point is this: is there indiscriminate killing? And talking about the 1,200 people killed by the Hamas attack that's been said, we have IDF soldiers, we have the Haaretz News who are saying that not only that, the survivors who are saying that it was the Israeli tanks that were shelling the houses that caused them to die. There was a woman who said, my husband was on top of me protecting me and a shell hit and it not only it killed all of them, and this is in their protocol. What's it called? Hannibal
Directive.
Thank you. That's why their numbers are not right, because they're thinking, which one did we kill and which one did Hamas?
In Dresden alone, take one German city. The destruction was on a scale totally dissimilar to what's been happening in Gaza.
See, this is misrepresentation. This is a straw man. I don't know what he's talking about. If he's talking about Andalusi said, Andalusi said
a specific region.
Yeah, London.
Yeah, he said London.
He said the Blitz for a year.
Yes.
That he gave very specific parameters. He's making it seem as if he's talking about
World
the
War
whole
II. Exactly.
Like
Yes.
tens of millions of people died in World War II.
Exactly.
Well, from all the way from Japan to
Yes, exactly.
Germany, all the way through to the Soviet Union, and what are we talking about?
And I've also noticed that the microphone level of Douglas Murray is actually higher than the other two guests. I don't know if that's done deliberately, but
the definition of terrorism is the deliberate targeting of innocent civilians. That is what Hamas specializes in. That is what Hamas did
And that's
on
what
October
is happening
the 7th.
is that an accurate definition?
No, actually,
No,
look,
it's not.
the textbook definitions usually has 2 components. That killing of civilians, but it's usually for some kind of political objective.
There you go.
Because otherwise it's just murder, isn't it?
Okay.
He's not even getting that right.
Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
he got that wrong.
What about
He's got that wrong.
what's his name? Abdul
Because otherwise that's murder or manslaughter.
Abdul Wahid. One second. What about what Abdul
Well,
Wahid
not forget
said?
about manslaughter. We murder.
Okay, what about what Abdul Wahid said? Was Hamas justified if he just targeted IDF soldiers then?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay, let's see if they answer the question. They wouldn't.
No,
Douglas,
please.
Let me ask Douglas.
The medical
Let me ask Douglas. I'm
association.
asking
The
Douglas.
medical
I
association.
will come both to.
The medical association is the one who is assigned to.
Fine. I'm asking Douglas what his view is.
Douglas.
What's
He's
Douglas'
not a
view?
medical doctor.
I'm asking Douglas.
He's right though. It's not Douglas. That's the. Who cares about Douglas' opinion? Who's he? He's got an English literature degree. Why are you asking him a question to do with this?
Yeah.
What's he got to do with this? Why are you asking him this question?
That's a good question, bro. What's he got to do with this whole
Yeah.
thing?
Why are you asking him?
What's his degree? The politics? What is it?
No, it's an English lit degree. He's written a book on Oscar Wilde or one of those guys, Ahi.
What in English?
Yeah, it's like one of the. I can't remember who it was. Like one of those figures. Like, I saw it enjoying the juice. I went in and I saw Douglas Murray, and I opened it up, and it was bloody a book on one figure.
So why is this guy speaking? Why is he here?
What's he talking about? Political issues and bloody medical issues and all these theological issues. You're not a specialist.
And what's Piers' obsession with the GP?
He's a failure.
I don't understand what's obsession with the doctor.
He's a Percy Pig.
Did you watch that Hamas spokesman? You quoted that Hamas spokesman on TV. Yeah. Did you see what he said about the attack? He said that there was no order to target civilians. What many people...
we know they did.
A general consensus of analysts have shown that they were...
If the spokesman has said there was no order given to attack civilians, based on Douglas Murray, they're not a terrorist organization. But let's be consistent. If the condition is that if an official, democratically elected government, Hamas, is ruling, and they have said we do not want to target civilians, and they accidentally target civilians, or some of their members do it on purpose, the same has to apply across board. Meaning that now, according to Douglas Murray, Hamas is not a terrorist organization, according to him.
No, but then the argument will be that it's not really what they say, it's what they do. That's where the argument
can be applied with Israel.
Yeah,
America
the argument will be applied across the board.
No problem, but can we call America a terrorist state? No, we can't. Why? Because they say, yes, but we see what happened on the ground. Good, but we didn't mean to. Same, that's what Hamas says.
But it's a good point to make, which is that the official policy is not to target civilians.
Whose?
Hamas's.
Thank you. What about America? Do they hold the same thing?
Every government in the world, the official policy. Okay, no problem. Like you said.
Israel, UK, and America. Would Douglas Murray call them a terrorist state?
No, he wouldn't.
Okay, good. Then how's he calling Hamas a terrorist state if they have declared that they don't want to target civilians?
Yeah, exactly. That's where the argument is.
Case closed.
Yeah.
There was looters that came out of Gaza who were not part of Hamas.
So my simple question. My simple question is this: was it a terror attack?
Anyone who killed civilians, should be condemned and reprehensible. Anyone who kills civilians is a criminal.
Was it a terror attack?
What?
October the 7th.
And we now asked you said, what define a terror attack is that you target civilians, right?
You've had the definition from Dougie.
Yes, okay, you target civilians, right? So then I want to ask, I'll answer that question.
Just answer.
I want to answer that question, but I just for sake of consistency, when the British Army targeted German civilians in World War II, was that a terror attack?
No, because they were responding to Nazi Germany's attempt to destroy the world.
Wait a minute.
So
rewind that, Dougie.
Wait a minute.
This is the bit, bro. This is a strong, very strong ending.
This is the bit where you say what Hijab says. Hold on.
Yeah. Hold on. Listen to it. Listen to this very carefully. Yeah.
What define a terror attack is that you target civilians, right?
You've had the definition from Dougie.
Yes, okay, you target civilians, right? So then I want to ask, I'll answer that question.
Just answer.
I want to answer that question, but I just
answer my question.
Targeted German civilians in World War II. Was that a terror attack?
No, because they were responding to Nazi Germany's attempt to destroy the world.
So you're saying So you're saying that because of who they were fighting, it's not a terror attack to target civilians.
Are you?
Is that what you're saying?
We have to wrap this up. I'm asking.
Go back.
His neighbors are calling the police right now.
Let's see that again.
I think it's not a terror attack to target civilians.
Are you?
Is that what you're saying?
We have to wrap this up. I'm saying there's no moral equivalence between us defending ourselves against Nazi Germany, who committed a Holocaust that killed 12 million people.
Did Britain launch war on Germany because of the Jews?
Huh?
Did Britain declare war on Germany for the sake of Jews?
Britain declared war on Germany.
Did Winston Churchill, in his ultimatum to Hitler, did he say, stop persecuting Jews? Do you know why? Because at that time, anti-Semitism was so rife that people didn't care about the plight of the Jews. It was only afterwards, after they discovered the death camps and so on and so forth. Don't pretend that the Allies launched this war for the sake of Jews.
I didn't say that.
Anti-Semitism.
We only discovered the full horror of the concentration camps towards the end of the war. We did it to save our democracy and freedom.
And
the idea there's any moral equivalence.
What are the Palestinians doing?
Listen, the idea is any moral equivalence is ridiculous. But let me come back one more time before we finish to my simple question. Was what happened on October the 7th a terror attack?
And I'm telling you that if you refuse to call the bombing of Dresden as a terror attack,
I tried.
Then why?
I've got to leave it there.
Is that not hypocritical? I'm totally fine to call it a terror attack if you're willing to call it a terror attack too.
Listen,
let's join each other in condemning both things, including the IDF as what they're doing as a terror attack.
I do not believe IDF.
Then that's being
You're a hypocrite.
No, that's being hypocritical.
You're a hypocrite.
All this is a terror attack.
Yeah, you're not though, are you?
You have to be consistent.
You're a hypocrite.
Final word to you.
Please.
Final word.
Yesterday I was It's
that was very
because of
strong
the
ending,
failure
innit?
of
Very
diplomatic and
powerful.
political issues. This is
You know what,
important.
bro? I think there's